When the grid goes down, the world changes in an instant. Darkness takes over, silence feels heavier, and the rules you live by today, they won't matter anymore. In those moments, every item you own tells a story, and some will tell the wrong story to the wrong people. What you leave out in plain sight could be an open invitation, not just to curiosity, but to desperation. The truth is, many of these items don't look dangerous now. They're sitting in your kitchen, garage, or even your backyard. But when the power fails and supply chains collapse, they'll become magnets attracting the kind of attention you can't afford. If you want to be ready before that day comes, and you believe knowledge is your best defense, you're in the right place. Subscribe now, and let's walk through 7 ordinary items you'll want to keep hidden when the grid fails before someone else spots them first. Number 1, large water containers. When the grid fails, you can survive weeks without electricity, but only days without water. That's why, in any collapse scenario, clean water instantly becomes the most valuable resource you can have. But here's the problem. If it's valuable to you, it's even more valuable to someone who doesn't have it. And nothing gives away that you have water faster than a large container sitting in plain sight. Barrels, rain catchment tanks, stacked jugs, they might seem harmless today, but in a blackout, they're as good as a neon sign saying, "Supplies here." The moment people realize the taps aren't coming back on, desperation takes over. Thirst doesn't wait for reason. It doesn't care about property lines, fences, or the fact that you work to store it. If someone is dehydrated, they'll take risks they never would in normal times. That's why water storage has to be strategic. In rural areas, visible barrels by the side of a house can be spotted from the road. In towns and suburbs, containers left on porches, in driveways, or in open sheds can be seen by neighbors, delivery drivers, or anyone passing through. All it takes is one curious glance, and word spreads faster than you can imagine. During prolonged outages in the past, people have been known to siphon from tanks in the middle of the night, cut hose lines, or even roll entire barrels away. In a crisis, it won't matter if you padlock the lid if it's visible, it's vulnerable. Systems, route them to containers that are covered and out of sight. Use opaque containers rather than clear ones, so no one can see the water level. And if you must keep them outside, disguise them with tarps, garden equipment, or even fake structures. This isn't about paranoia, it's about protecting a resource that could mean life or death for your family. In a collapse, people will trade almost anything for a drink of clean water. That means keeping it hidden is as important as having it in the first place, because when the grid goes down, the only thing more dangerous than running out of water is letting the wrong person know you still have it. Number 2, portable generators. When the grid fails, darkness spreads faster than the news of what caused it. In that sudden silence, the world becomes still except for one sound that cuts through the night like a beacon, the low hum of a generator. What feels like a lifeline to you can be a calling signal to everyone within earshot. And in a crisis, sound travels farther than you think. Portable generators are among the most valuable pieces of equipment in any power outage. They keep food cold, lights on, and essential devices running. But that value is exactly what makes them dangerous to leave visible or even audible when society starts to fray. In a blackout, the rumble of a generator can draw more attention than the sight of one. It's like announcing to the entire neighborhood, "I have power, and you don't." In disaster zones, there have been countless reports of generators being stolen, not just from yards, but from inside garages, back porches, and even locked sheds. It only takes a few minutes for someone desperate enough to cut a chain, lift the machine, and vanish into the dark. And the harsher the conditions get, the bolder people become. The problem isn't only theft. A visible or noisy generator sends another message. If you have one, you probably have fuel, food, and other supplies worth taking. It paints a bigger target than most people realize. The first rule of generator security is concealment. If you must run it, position it where it can't be seen from the street or nearby homes. Use barriers or walls to muffle the sound. Even heavy blankets or plywood can help reduce noise. Never leave it running unattended for long stretches, and avoid running it at the same time every day, which can create a predictable pattern for anyone watching. If you're storing a generator for emergencies, keep it out of sight entirely. A clean, covered unit in a garage or shed doesn't draw attention until you need it. And when you do, consider limiting its use to the essentials. Every extra hour it runs is another hour someone could hear it. In a long-term grid-down situation, having a generator can mean the difference between comfort and crisis, but only if you still have it when you need it most. Because in a blackout, electricity isn't just power, it's a magnet, and the louder your generator hums, the faster it can pull the wrong kind of attention straight to your door. Number 3, stacked firewood. When the grid goes down in the dead of winter, warmth becomes more than comfort, it becomes survival, and nothing says, "I'm prepared," more clearly than a neatly stacked pile of dry firewood. In normal times, it's just part of a backyard scene. In a crisis, it's a billboard telling the world you have a heat source when the temperature drops below freezing. Firewood might seem like an old-fashioned backup, but in a prolonged outage, it becomes one of the most sought-after fuels. It's quiet, renewable, and doesn't depend on fragile supply chains. For people without power, a visible pile of logs can mean the difference between enduring the cold or risking their lives trying to stay warm. And that's exactly why leaving it out in the open can turn you into a target. The danger isn't just theft, though, that's common enough. In desperate times, people won't think twice about taking wood from a yard, shed, or even a covered porch. The bigger risk is what it signals about the rest of your supplies. If you have enough wood to heat your home, people may assume you also have food, water, and other resources worth taking. Theft of firewood has been documented in every major winter disaster where shortages set in. Sometimes it's a few logs at a time, carried away under cover of darkness. Other times, entire stacks vanish overnight. Even friends or neighbors you trust today can become desperate tomorrow. The solution is to keep your fuel supply as invisible as possible. Store the bulk of your wood in a locked shed, barn, or garage. If you must stack it outdoors, keep it behind fences, tarps, or natural barriers like hedges. Break up the visible pile into smaller stacks in different locations so it's not obvious how much you have. Another tip from seasoned preppers: keep a small decoy stack of wood in a visible place, while your main supply stays hidden. That way, if someone decides to take from you, they're less likely to discover your real reserves. And don't forget, the sound of chopping wood can also draw attention. If possible, process your firewood in advance, long before a crisis hits, so you're not broadcasting your preparations with every swing of an axe. In the dead of winter, firewood can mean life, but if the wrong eyes see your supply, it can mean trouble. When the grid fails, heat will be as precious as food, and once people realize you have it, they might not stop at asking. Number 4, cooking fuel canisters. When the grid fails, keeping food edible and water safe to drink becomes a top priority. But without electricity or gas service, you're left with whatever backup cooking methods you've prepared. That's where fuel canisters, propane tanks, camp stove cartridges, and even bags of charcoal become survival gold. And that's also why leaving them in plain sight can quickly put you at risk. In normal times, a spare propane tank on the porch or a few bags of charcoal stacked by the grill are nothing unusual. But in a prolonged blackout, those same items are a clear signal that you can still boil water, cook meals, and keep your family fed when others can't. In a crisis, the smell of cooking alone can travel far, and if someone follows that scent to your home and sees a stash of fuel outside, they'll know you're better prepared than most. Cooking fuel becomes valuable for another reason, too. It's not just for cooking. In an emergency, propane and similar fuels can also be used for heating small spaces, running portable heaters, or powering certain tools. That makes it an even bigger target for desperate people who are cold, hungry, and running out of options. During past disasters, reports have surfaced of fuel tanks being stolen right off porches, from unlocked sheds, or even disconnected from grills in the middle of the night. Portable canisters are easy to carry, easy to hide, and easy to sell or trade, which makes them high on the list for thieves in a collapse scenario. To protect your supply, keep fuel canisters stored in secure, discreet locations. A locked shed, garage, or even a weatherproof storage box can make the difference between keeping your resources and losing them. If outdoor storage is your only option, keep them covered with tarps, placed behind fencing, or disguised among less valuable equipment. Another smart move is to split your supply. Don't keep all your fuel in one visible spot. Store smaller amounts in multiple locations, so that if one stash is discovered, you still have enough to get by. When the power's out and resources are scarce, cooking fuel is more than convenience, it's survival currency. The moment someone sees you have it, you stop being just another neighbor and start becoming a target. Number 5, solar chargers and panels. When the grid goes down, most people are left in the dark, literally. Phones die, radios go silent, and flashlights fade. But for those who've prepared, solar chargers and panels become a quiet lifeline, turning sunlight into the one thing everyone suddenly wants: power. In normal times, a panel on a windowsill or a portable charger sitting in the yard barely draws a second glance. But in a prolonged blackout, anything that can keep devices running will stand out. People won't just see a gadget, they'll see the ability to call for help, navigate, and stay connected when others can't. And that's exactly why you can't afford to leave these tools in plain sight. The value of solar gear in a crisis goes far beyond charging a phone. Small panels can power LED lights, radios, rechargeable batteries, even medical devices. In the eyes of someone desperate, that makes them priceless and worth taking. Portable panels, in particular, can vanish in seconds, slipped into a bag or under a coat. Theft isn't the only risk. A visible panel can signal that you have other backup systems, generators, fuel, or stocked supplies. In a world without power, it's a flag that says, "I'm prepared," and flags attract attention. To protect your solar gear, keep portable chargers stored indoors when not in use. If you're charging outside, do it in enclosed or low-visibility areas like fenced yards or behind buildings. Fixed panels can be harder to hide, but you can still reduce visibility by placing them on less exposed sides of structures, blending them with roofing, or using camouflage covers when they're not in use. And remember, charging in short, irregular intervals is better than leaving panels out all day where they can be spotted by anyone passing by. In a blackout, solar panels and chargers are more than just gadgets, they're survival tools. The more they stand out, the more you risk losing them. And once they're gone, so is your quiet, dependable source of power. Number 6. Medical supply kits. When the grid fails and hospitals fill up or worse, shut their doors, medical supplies become one of the most valuable resources you can own. Bandages, antiseptics, pain relievers, and even basic first aid tools suddenly carry more weight than cash. And yet, too many people keep their medical kits out in the open, not realizing they're showing everyone exactly what could save a life when help is no longer a call away. In normal times, a stocked first aid kit in your kitchen cabinet or hanging on a garage wall is just good planning. But in a prolonged crisis, those same supplies are survival gold. A deep cut, a severe burn, or even a high fever can turn deadly when there's no immediate access to professional care. That's when people start searching for anything and anyone who might have the tools to help. Theft of medical supplies isn't just about desperation, it's about barter value. In many post-disaster situations, medical goods become one of the most sought-after forms of trade. A single bottle of antibiotics, a roll of sterile gauze, or a pack of surgical gloves can be exchanged for food, fuel, or shelter. That makes your visible kit not just a temptation, but a target. Even close friends or neighbors, when pushed by injury or illness, may act without asking. A kit left in plain sight during a visit, or even seen through a partially open door, could be remembered and returned for later. The best way to protect your medical supplies is to make them invisible. Store them in opaque containers, locked drawers, or disguised boxes that don't scream first aid. Keep only a small, visible travel kit for emergencies on the go, and hide the bulk of your reserves in a secure, climate-controlled location. Also, think of redundancy. Split your supplies into multiple caches so that losing one doesn't wipe out your entire stock. And rotate them. Expired medicines or degraded bandages can fail you when you need them most. In a world without hospitals, your medical kit isn't just another tool, it's a lifeline. But once others know you have it, you'll never be the only one counting on it. Keep it hidden, keep it secure, and make sure when the moment comes, it's still in your hands, not someone else's. Number 7. Water filtration gear. When the grid fails, the taps may still run, but for how long, and with what kind of water? In many disasters, the first thing to vanish isn't electricity, it's clean, drinkable water. Without filtration gear, you're left boiling questionable water over dwindling fuel, or risking sickness from whatever comes out of the nearest stream, pond, or rain barrel. That's why water filters, purification pumps, and even simple filter straws become survival essentials, and why leaving them where others can see them could be a costly mistake. In normal times, a portable filter on a kitchen counter or a gravity-fed system in the garage is harmless. But when bottled water sells out and municipal supplies turn brown, those same items transform into rare, high-value tools. Suddenly, you're the person who can turn dirty water into something safe, a skill, and a resource everyone else will want access to. Water filtration gear has two dangerous qualities in a crisis. It's portable and irreplaceable. Once stores are empty, you won't find replacements. And unlike a hidden stash of food, a water filter is often small enough to slip into a pocket or bag, making it easy for thieves to take and hard for you to replace. The risk isn't just outright theft. If word spreads that you have filtration equipment, you could find yourself overwhelmed by people asking or demanding to use it. Even those you trust today might feel entitled to your gear when their family is thirsty. And once too many people know about it, you've lost the ability to control who benefits from it. The safest move is to keep filtration equipment stored out of sight, preferably in secure, sealed containers. If you use it outdoors, make sure you're in a low-visibility spot. Rotate between different water sources so no one gets used to seeing you draw from the same place at the same time. And if possible, have backups, a small, inexpensive filter for public use, and a more advanced system kept entirely private. Water is the one survival need you can't delay. Without it, you have days, not weeks. Your filtration gear might be the single most valuable thing you own in a blackout, and the moment someone else knows you have it, it's no longer just yours. Protect it like your life depends on it, because it does. Survival isn't always about what you have, it's about what others think you have. In a world where resources are scarce, visibility becomes vulnerability. The smallest detail, a canister left by the door, a panel catching sunlight, a glimpse of medical supplies, can change the way someone looks at you, not as a neighbor, not as a friend, but as a source to be tapped or taken from. History has shown us again and again that in times of crisis, even good people can make desperate choices. And the moment you let your guard down, you might not get the chance to pull it back up. Survival is more than storing supplies. It's about protecting them quietly, deliberately, and without drawing attention to what could keep you alive. You've just seen how ordinary items can turn into survival beacons when the world goes dark. Maybe you already have some of them. Maybe you're now realizing how visible they are. Either way, you still have time to act to move them, hide them, or secure them before they become someone else's solution to their problem. If you've stayed with me until now, it means you understand the stakes. You know that being prepared isn't paranoia, it's responsibility. And if you want to keep learning strategies that could make the difference between being caught off guard or being ready, then this is where you need to be. Subscribe now and join a community that believes in quiet preparedness, smart planning, and protecting what matters most before the world realizes it's too late. Because in a crisis, you won't get a second chance to keep what's yours.